the Sly Guy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favourite podcast, the Sly Guy podcast with me, Dave Elliott. For a second there, I forgot the name of the podcast because I've been away. People are probably going, have you been away, Dave? We've been listening to the podcast for the past 2 weeks. We've been watching you. You've been here. No, that was trickery. That was taking advantage. That was, what did you call it? Deceit. Ben, deceit. We used the powers of technology to fill me in the past to bring me to the present. Is that like something in a Terminator movie? Like something like, we're using the power from the past to bring you to the present and the future. Because John Connor, I'm looking for him now. But no, genuinely, we just filmed a bulk couple of episodes because I took myself off for 2 weeks. Took myself off on holidays with my family to relax. Now, I mean, Ben, where do you watch? Do you watch the podcast or do you listen to the podcast? What would be your sort of main way to check out podcasts?
Listen.
Listen, right, okay. Well, people who are listening to the podcast, definitely take a wee minute to go onto your YouTube, the wee app on your phone or in your computer, whatever you TV these days maybe too, and type in Sly Guy Podcast, Dave Elliott, and just come across the channel that we use. And subscribe, because this week I'm worth seeing. I am golden bronzed from my week away. I mean, Ben, what country do you think it looks like I've been to if you're just looking at my tan?
I'm gonna go for somewhere in Spain.
Somewhere in Spain. I do quite look, but I actually do look like, you know, the character from Gladiator, the Spaniard. I look like him if he hadn't been killed. And he lived for like another 20 years and just got really fat and lazy. That's what I like. I look like, actually, if the Spaniard turned into, you know, Proximo. Do you remember Gladiator, the film? Oliver Reed's character? I'm Proximo. And he just died during the filming, and they somehow used like stop motion to make him. How they did that, I don't know. Pretty impressive. But yeah, what I'm saying is it's worth taking your Sly Guy fix from your ears into your eyes, because never have I looked sweeter than I do. Tan wise, anyway, fatter than I've been, yes, but more bronze. So kind of, do you think I pull it off, Ben? The tan look. Do you think I look good?
Absolutely.
Sexy.
Absolutely.
Should we rename this episode this week the Sex Podcast? No, as the Sex Guy. No, sexy would have worked, but the letter wise, the Sexy Guy Podcast wouldn't be the sex. I was thinking 3 letters rather than the actual phrase. I mean, it would be quite ironic to call it the Sex Guy Podcast, but we'll not get into that. But I'm back. I'm bronzed. I'm relaxed. I'm glad to be back here. I forgot how to podcast for a while there. This is about the 5th attempt. I've tried to just, get into the podcast, and again, rambling. How are we all doing? I hope we're feeling well. Hope we're glad to have me back. Hope you have missed me. Because I've missed the listeners. I've missed the Snake Rat, who, by the way, is birthday this week, guys. So if you want to show the Snake Rat some love, hit him up on social media with a wee emoji of like a snake and a rat, and the emoji that's that. Hit him up with that as well. Say happy birthday, Snake Rat. What age were you, Ben?
31.
31? Oh wow! I actually thought it was the big 30. I thought you were only 30, so you're an old bastard like me then. That's, all being well, you'll be 32 in your next birthday. You know what age I am? My next birthday, 35, old bastard, and that's a matter of months away. But yeah, it's good. So did you do much for the birthday? Did you get many nice presents? Is what I want to know.
Got a nice big bottle of whiskey.
Nice. What sort of whiskey is there? Are you allowed to say any brands?
It was a honey Jim Beam one. It's technically bourbon.
Oh, bourbon. Very nice, Jim. You know who likes Jim Beam? Schwarzenegger. Loves it. It's his favourite drink. And apparently now, again, I know a lot of try saying this fast, a lot of budding bodybuilders listen to this podcast too to get fitness advice from the physique guy, of course. But apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger in the film Pumping Iron, which is one of my favourite films, he basically said that drinking bourbon just made him jacked and got a good pump. So what he used to do though, which I thought was quite interesting, is that you take the Jim Beam lid, you pour a wee bit of bourbon into it, and then he would just go glug 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 glug, and it was just a great sight. Watch Pumping Iron, by the way, great film. So it's nice. Do you feel any older? Do you feel any weaker in your joints? Do you feel happier in you're a bit tanned yourself? I thought I was going to come here and really show you up. I do, obviously, because the hairs on my arm have turned from brown to blonde. That's a serious tan. But you definitely look kissed by the sun. You don't look like you've been necked by the sun. You look like you've been in bed. Like, do you ever have your kids when they're in bed and you just see them sleeping, and you, as a dad, you walk in and you just give them a wee on their head. That's like what it looks like, what the sun has done to you. Whereas I look like I have been, once again, but myself, lying in bed, and you know, my wife has just come in and just started snogging a face at me in my sleep, which, you know, it's a bit unfair because I don't be able to consent to that, but I love her, and we shared bands together, and that's why she does that. But she was necking me, you know, so she got into me. I nearly made a very niche wrestling reference there. Don't know if you get this. It could be a Celtic fan reference, but I was going to refer to my wife as Shinsuke Neckamura. You know, do you know that reference? He's a wrestler, but also a free kick master for Celtic. But he probably went by Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't know. But my point is, I'm very tanned, and you look healthy. That's what I'd say. I look like I'm a bit of leather. I look like I would be in a stall in Spain. You know, I look like you could go in and buy me. You know, whereas you look like you just look healthy. Do you feel healthy? Do you feel good?
I do.
Are you glad to be back? Have you missed me for 2 weeks? Fuck, I haven't even said about that. Have you missed doing the podcast, or was it back to like, remember whenever you quit Boytown and then the whole operation, it just crumbled thereafter? Now, to be fair, I did want out for longer probably than him, but he was the straw that broke the camel's dick, or whatever the saying is. But you did you know when you were away from Boytown, I took a lot of bribery to get you back. You know, it took a lot of offerings. I felt like I was really negotiating with you for a while. I had to agree, first of all, to an increase in salary from 0 to a £5 a month. Then I had to negotiate circumstances as well. So you were like, listen, I'll come back, but the standard of the training facilities are not acceptable. You need to up the standard. You need to get more equipment in. That was one of your standards. I also had to provide you with fudge every week, and a brand new pair of Jordans every 2 months. So we agreed to deal, and you got back. But during that period of Boytown when you weren't doing it, you said you needed a bit of a break at least. Having the 2 week break from this podcast, did you miss it, or were you like, I like this, I could maybe just never do this again?
I definitely missed it.
That's good, because a bit of me saw your face there, and I went, maybe you just don't want to do this anymore. You're kind of like, yeah, you know, I've been chilling. Like you've bought a caravan there not so long ago, and you've been spending a lot of time in the sun. You've been getting the weather for it, and again, not being obviously wearing maybe factor 50, I don't know, but you've just been really seeming to be in a more chill place. Obviously, with the editing and stuff, the Champions League weird, you're up to your eyes, but we'll not worry about that. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. I've missed you. I've missed the podcast, and as much as holidays was enjoyable, it's good to be back to work. You know, it's good to be back doing what I love, the podcast for the people. And I mean, a lot of people this week in my DMs have been referring to me as the king. The king is back. The king in North Down is back in the podcast. And I mean, I love it. Some people might struggle with that, might be feeling a little bit egomaniacally, like a wee bit imposter syndrome. But I've embraced it. I am the king, and the king is back, and I'm the best solo podcaster in the country, maybe the world, who knows. But I'm back, the king of North Down. I am feeling good. Now, my holiday was relaxing, let me just say. It was, on paper, could have potentially been one of the most stressful experiences of all time. After the first day of the holiday, I thought it was going to be the worst. Because effectively, the first day of my holiday was potentially the worst day of all time. For many reasons. First of all, for those that don't know, we went to the Devon region. Now, long-time listeners of the podcast know, what's my favourite TV show, Ben? And don't say Eurotrash.
Powerpuff Girls.
Pardon?
Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, I thought you said Powerful Girls. It's like Powerpuff Girls. What's my favourite show? Oh, Powerful Girls. I was like, what the hell is that on Babe Station? But no, but it's not Powerpuff Girls, although it's an honourable mention. My favourite TV show recently has been Devon and Cornwall. This TV show, it's just basically shows you what goes on in the counties of Devon and Cornwall. Maybe that's a sign of the times that I'm just an old guy now. I don't care. I enjoy it. I like what they get up to, and I thought, hey, we're going to go to Devon and have a good time. So, as is the case, in my relationship with Shinsuke Neckamura, I kind of I'd be the more laid back one, I would say. I think she would admit to that herself. I say laid back, she said probably just doesn't listen, you know, or pay attention, Potato. So she basically, her and my friend's wife basically organised this holiday, which was weird because my friend's wife and my friend didn't come on the holiday, but they just like they did. But they arranged this holiday, which on paper it sounded like a wee bit like clutching at straws, because obviously I like to go away to hot places. You can tell by the tan. I bronze well. I like to go to the sun. I am imagine Ray Winston and Sexy Beast on the Sun Lounger. That's what this guy gives you on a holiday. So whenever I heard that we weren't going to the sun, I was a wee bit. And you know what? Actually, I wasn't sad because obviously COVID is still kicking about, and I did put the kibosh in that, and I said, like, I'm a bit scared. I still think COVID is. I mean, a lot of people out there will probably go, "Fucking what are you? Some kind of flipping big pansy or something?" If you think COVID, yeah, I still think it's real. I'm still scared of it, and I was like, let's just go somewhere within, like, somewhere you don't have to fly to. So, my wife and her friend, they booked us this great holiday in Devon and Longleat. So that was all good. Didn't want to fly, got a boat. Now, that's a fun, scenic way to be. Get to look at nice sights, have a good time. But whenever you have a 3-year-old and an under one, bit of a struggle in terms of the drive and stuff. So we drove down there. We drove from the Gold Coast of North Down to Dublin, which, by the way, I had to actually hide under the boot. The way you open the boot, you have a boot, but then you have an underlayer. I had to hide in the underlayer of the boot once I left the Kingdom of North Down, because there's a number in my head. If I leave the North Down region, people don't want me there because I've slandered everywhere else outside the kingdom. And you know what? I stand by it. So I had to hide there. We got down to Dublin and got a boat from Dublin to Holyhead, and then we were to drive from Holyhead to Devon, which is, for those who don't know, a long drive. So it's probably, 6 hours or whatever. So we thought, again, smart thinking from my wife. She goes, right, we'll book a wee hotel somewhere kind of nice looking, somewhere it looks like a decent wee town. So the spot that they booked for the night one to just break up the drive was Worcester, which I don't understand how it's called Worcester when it's spelled Worcester. Again, people have discussed this about the sauce, and I agree with the place. So we got there anyway, and we got there. It was the final night of the Euros. So England were playing Italy in the final of the Euros, and when we got there, I thought, right, this will be great. Get there, kids will go to bed. Me and my mate Griff will get down, watch the final somewhere, and it'll be all good. So we in a lap of luxury stayed in the Premier Inn, and by the time we got in with a drive, the game was just about to start. So the wives very kindly said, "Listen, guys, go down, watch the football, and we'll put the kids to bed. It'll be grand." So we headed down to watch the football. Now, what was great was obviously everyone in Worcester were just in local pubs, and the place was. I mean, this don't isolate this, but I kind of was supporting England a bit during the tournament because I bet on them before the tournament started because I thought they had a strong team in paper. B, and then the people might want to admit this, but whenever there's any home nation team, whether it be Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland, in a tournament, whether it be the World Cup or the Euros, the further any team goes, the more interest there is, within our area. Would you agree with that, Ben? So further England going, there's more interest. Now, I was sort of getting involved with the fact that I thought, it'd be quite nice if England won. Then I remembered England supporters and media and pundits, and I thought, no, that's be the worst thing in the world. So within being in Worcester for probably all 10 minutes, seeing people walking around the city with their kits on and their flags, I was like, nah, fucking let's go. Viva Italia, Forza, whatever. Get behind them. But that was good, and I got anxiety as well. I was like, I can't go to a pub and watch this. Thankfully, we went just downstairs to watch it in the hotel, and it was basically myself, my mate Griff, this old man and his wife, who, by the way, spoke, if you listen to Boytown, exactly like the character Alan Todd. He's like, get fucking Grealish on, mate. And it was nice. And then an older dad, and his son, who was about my age, which is just a nice vibe, So 6 of us basically, and a barman, watching this game. So we got loads of pints on board. I say loads. We went with no one would be driving the next day. Didn't want to get a load on. Didn't want to get too hammered. But at the same time, hey, when the kids are away, the adults will. That was not the analogy I wanted. When the cat is away, the rats are loose, and that's what happened. So I thought, listen, the pints were easy to be served. We probably had about, I think by the end of it, 8 pints. You know, we're getting involved in it, going to penalties, all very exciting. 8 pints. Now during that melee, got a wee text. You know, sent a courtesy text to Catherine saying, "How are the girls?" And she wrote back saying, "Terrible." And I wrote back saying, "Do you need me?" And her being a good wife, she lied probably and said no. Now again, this is probably a loaded statement, but she went, "Just you stay down there and watch the game." Now, you could have taken that as a way like, "Oh, just you stay there and watch the game," or you could have taken like, "Oh, just you stay there and watch the game, it'll be grand." I took it as a latter and went, "Okay, I will. More pints." That was fine. So then another text came through in the second half, being like, "They're all still awake. Holly's crying, Matilda's crying, I have a busting headache." And I was like, true, but also penalties. So I was like, listen, the game's winding up. This is, by the way, before extra time had started. The game's winding up. Going to penalties. I'll be up. I'll sort it. Don't worry. I think she wrote back something, you know, just to agree to that, like fuck off or whatever, but it was fine. So then we watched the penalties. It was grand. As soon as the penalties were done, straight up to the room, and yeah, bedlam. Went up. I don't know what had gone on. Again, if anyone's a sleep expert out here, but my kids were just not in the mood to sleep. The baby is the loudest baby ever. She was just screaming in her cot. That was a problem. She eventually went to sleep, whereas my 3-year-old Holly kind of woke up, went to sleep, woke up, went to sleep, and was kind of in. Ben, I don't know if you as a dad have ever encountered, like, have you ever seen the movie Step Brothers?
Yeah.
You know the way in that they're like, oh, Dale and Brennan, if they're sleepwalking, don't wake them. Have you ever experienced your kids in a state that's almost like asleep? Are they awake? Are they asleep? And it's not a nice place. It's like, and that was happening with Holly, right? But Holly was apparently crying the whole time since she missed her doggy. Now, she's been on holidays before, but she's probably not to this at an age where she'd remember it. So brought her there. She's like, "Oh, I miss my doggy." We're like, "I'll be grand. We'll see him in 2 weeks. We're chilling. Don't worry." And she was getting so wound up that she was just crying hysterically. So eventually I said to Catherine, "Just you go to sleep. I'll take care of Holly." So Catherine went to sleep. Holly was lying in her bed, missing her doggy, really like hyperventilating, crying, awake, asleep, awake, asleep. It was awkward. So, and again, I'm at this stage, I'm like, I could do with some like nuts or a packet of crisps or something, because I have probably too many pints and a bit of an empty stomach. But then all of a sudden, I just was lying in bed, and I was in double bed. Holly was in a single beside me, so I was there. Catherine was there. Baby was at the foot of the bed. I just heard this noise. I was like, "What's that?" Boke. I was like, "Oh no, has Holly just boked?" Yes. She had cried so much that all the mucus and all had made her boke. So I was like, "Oh shit, better get her out of bed because she's boked," which I thought would be a little bit. So I then lifted her out of bed. As I lifted her, another stream of boke. Turns out it wasn't just a little bit. Have you ever seen Exorcist? Exorcist boke. Blah. So she boked on me. I was like, "Oh fuck." When I lifted her, she boked. I didn't realise this the next morning when we woke the baby. She boke in like a stream of boke, and as I lifted her, the boke just cascaded over the baby. So the baby's covered in boke. I was covered in boke. I brought her into the bathroom because I was trying not to wake Catherine at this point because she's had them all night. Brought them into the bathroom. Baby just boked all down me here. All down me here. I was like 4 big chunders all over me. And by the way, if a baby's ever been sick on you, it's okay. You know, it's just milk. It's fine. You just, baby's boke. That's all right. A 3-year-old boking on you, worst experience ever. Her boke smelled like full adult boke. It was. I've just been boked on. Basically, to me, like, by a full adult. It looked like there was chewed up bits of kebab in her boke. There was like bits of sweet corn, bits of chewed up pasta, bits of pasta she just swallowed whole, like some sort of dog. And it was just all over me. And then obviously she had boked everywhere. She was in hysterics. So then I had to try and calm her down. Had to put her in a bath and wash her. Had to try to not. Obviously, I tried not wake Catherine. I went in and was like, "I need help. The baby's been sick." My first thought is, she's a nurse. Sick is her bread and butter. You know, this is walk in the park. So she was like, at this point again, we're trying to be cautious because we don't want to wake the baby, because if she's up, we're fucked. So we had to subtly get Holly bath. I got a new t-shirt that I was wearing at the game. Nice new t-shirt. Wore it just in travel down. Got there, booked all over, left in the bin, fucked. So obviously I had to go down then to the reception and be like, listen, can I get loads of new bed sheets, please, and something to store it in, because there's been a bit of a problem in my room. Problem with that being, Ben, the guy working down at the reception was the same guy who spent a lot of the night just nipping into the bar to watch the game. So he had just seen me neck the region of 6 to 10 pints, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's been a wee bit of an accident with Boke in the room. So he's clearly gone, this guy's Boked everywhere. So whenever he came up, he was like an old dad guy. So he's like a guy who would be like just your dad. So he didn't really know how to deal with the situation much. So he came up and he was like, what do you need, mate? And I was like, oh, I don't know, just new bed sheets and a towel. So he came up with a towel and a bin bag. I was like, oh, we'll need more than that. Because we basically had all her bedding to be put into these bin bags. And then he had to do about 3 runs. By this stage, the guy was just sweating. He's like, fuck, mate, do you need anything else? And I was like, no, I'm all right, thanks. So he got all that in. I ended up having to sleep with Holly in the double bed and put Catherine in the single bed, which had been redressed so she could get a night's sleep. That was all fine. But first night of holiday, I'm thinking, this is going to be the most stressful 2 weeks of my life. If she's this hysterical about our dog, we have 2 weeks of this, and she's not going to see the dog, it's going to be a nightmare. So this sort of like weird sleep awake version of her, horrendous. So the next day, I had to somehow bribe her to be like, listen, she hates the dog normally. She just doesn't like him. She just thinks, always scared of him, jumps, But now all of a sudden she loves him. So I'm like, right, if I buy you a cuddly toy of the dog as like a representation of him, would that make you happy? And she is young. She is sort of, I guess, still very sweet and cute and everything, but she's also very savvy and knows a deal. She's going to be a businesswoman. She's like, so I get a new present if I fuck up, and I say, effectively. And I did, got her that, and it sort of settled her for a bit, which I know people are probably, you shouldn't probably bribe your kids, but I do. It's fine. It is what it is. It stopped her doing. So that was a problem for us. So we then were sort of worried for the next few days that we might have this problem. So after that absolute nightmare night in Worcester, about 2 hours sleep we had to drive from there to Devon to stay in this farmhouse, which again, after the first night, I'm like, this is going to be terrible. So before we got to the farmhouse, we stopped in the wee town that the farmhouse is on paper in, a place called Painton, which I'd never heard of, but it was like supposed to be by the sea. So I thought, oh, this is going to be pretty nice. Went to Painton, and it was, if Blackpool was tacky, it would be Painton. Painton, it's hard to describe, but like the population of Painton, the only place maybe on a par of Painton in terms of places that I've hated being in is Lisburn. And I know I've said enough about Lisburn before, but Painton, the population of Painton are just like a Walking Dead army, except the people are all, in the Walking Dead, obviously, didn't they get infected in the Walking Dead? There was an infection. These guys, their virus is they're all wearing, those green lanyards with the sunflowers on them, which means I don't want to wear a mask. And you look at most of these people and go, I think COVID's probably the least of your worries. I think the fact that for breakfast you don't have Weetabix, you have heroin. I think that's maybe a place to start. That's a problem in and of itself. So these guys just all walking around. It like only shops that there were in Painton were like shebeens, not even bars, just shebeens that have been set up on street corners. There was I guess, cash for gold shops, that loads of them, and just places that sell fridge magnets, and that's all you can get in Painton. So if you're looking to get like probably potching under a counter, you're looking to get a nice magnet of a railway, or you just want to swap some stolen jewellery for cash, Painton's a place to go. So first day of the new holiday, I'm thinking, oh no, I've just been up all night, 2 hours sleep. We're staying in Devon's Lisburn. I'm thinking, this is it. I have died. I'm dead. Heaven is not for me, clearly. I've been forced into hell. This is it. It's terrible. So after that, obviously, because I didn't book the holiday, I didn't want to say, oh, well, this is shit. So I just had to sort of go to the farmhouse. So by the time I'm thinking of farmhouse, I'm thinking the word farm's probably being replaced by the word whore. I think I'm going to be staying in a brothel. I think it's going to be a her house full of the Walking Dead with these people wearing these fucking green lanyards. Who, by the way, I am mind blown by my wife on holiday, and not in that way. She said something to me that was like, I never thought about before. You know, these people are like wearing the lanyards, not even with anything clipped to them, just the lanyards, walking about being like, I'll not be told to wear a mask. This is stifling my freedom. She just went to me, you know what'd be worse than having to wear a mask to the shop? And I went, what's that? And she went, getting COVID. And I went, that's a very valid point that I haven't thought about. But yet these people who apparently are vulnerable and have breathing difficulties are going to places without wearing masks, so are more likely to get it, therefore more likely to die, and therefore, duh. So I wasn't too promising. Then we got to the farmhouse, and by the way, what a place that was. We ended up renting this farmhouse that was just brilliant. A really good, big farmhouse by the sea, a beach and a farm within walking distance. Beautiful. And it was slightly outside Painting, which was nice, in a place called Churston. So there's another nice town called Brixham, which, by the way, heavily featured in Devon and Cornwall. Never once has Painting been featured on Devon and Cornwall for obvious reasons. But what a spot. And we never went back to Painting. We're like, no, I'm not going back there ever in my life. But thankfully the holiday just went on the up from there. So it was 2 weeks. We had 1 week in this just tranquil farmhouse, and it was just beaut. And for me, as a super nerd of Devon and Cornwall, I just wanted to go to all the places that were featured in Devon and Cornwall. So we went to a restaurant called the Prince William, which in Devon and Cornwall, by the way, was featured because it has this dude that's got his own wee personal trawler ship. He goes out fishing every day and brings fresh fish to this restaurant, and they cook up the same fish that he's caught that day. Isn't that sweet? So I went there. What a meal that was, by the way. Delicious. Obviously, so many pints of cider and pina coladas as well. I don't know why I stocked up on pina coladas, but it did, and it was great. I met a guy. The guy who actually, it sounds very sexual. I met a guy who was featured on Devon and Cornwall. The guy that owned the restaurant, the main guy, he was featured on it, just on TV show. And I mean, I've met people through doing this kind of stuff who have been celebrities, and I have like been, casual with them. I've been like, sound, whatever, it's fine. They're just people. At the end of the day, not a problem. This guy from the TV show Devon and Cornwall, starstruck. So much so that Mick Griff said to him, this guy weirdly is the biggest fan of the TV show Devon and Cornwall. Can he get a picture with you? So I got a picture with the guy, and I will put it on social media, but I needed people to know the context of that. Other than that, it looks like I'm just posting. It looks like I'm posting a photo of with me and a relative on a holiday, and it looks, when you post photos of a relative on a holiday who's a bit older, it looks like they've passed away, and people be like, "Oh, sorry to hear about your uncle," and I'd be like, "Yes, that's not my uncle. It's just a guy. It's my favorite guy off the TV show. Don't worry about it." So I got a photo of him. It wasn't embarrassing at all. I was fanboying with him, and it was just a great time, and it was an honor. It was an honor to go there, and one of the biggest things from the TV show Devon and Cornwall is a wee village called Clovelly. Have you ever heard of Clovelly? It's quite a well-known place. It's basically, I don't know how, it's a private village now. It's owned by one guy, which is very me, by the way. If ever there was anyone that would like to own their own village, this guy. So any villages for sale, let me know. But it's called Clovelly, and it's like a very steep old village, like with loads of cobbled steps. You have to get down to it. So I said, look, we're going to leave our friends. They didn't want to go to Clovelly. That's fair enough, because it was a 2-hour drive from the farmhouse. But I said, I'm not coming here. Having watched Devon Cornwall, I'm not going there. So we went there. When we got in there, I was there with my wife, Catherine, Holly, Matilda in a pram, because she's a baby. So we went through to the the tourist part of the village, because you have to pay to get into this village. Again, very me. But as we went in, there was a woman who, by the way, that's how they spoke. She was like, near Newcastle there. So, what's it? Speak like a bit like this down there. So they do. She was like, I wouldn't be bringing a pram if I were you. And I was like, why is that? And she goes, because the cobble streets, and it's so steep. And I was like, listen, the options are either this: we bring the baby strapped to me in blistering heat, or I try to fucking force the pram down these. I forced the pram. Never has there been a sweatier human being in life. From the time I got to the top of this village to the bottom, it was an incline like that. So it was almost like I was just holding the pram, trying to walk down cobble streets. And I'm a big man with big feet. But you know what's not very strong about me? The part between my leg bones and my foot, you know, that ankle area, not strong. Occasionally just goes, "Ugh." And going down there, I thought, I'm going to fucking drop this baby in the sea, and then I'll be the bad guy, even though clearly Wise's Village not got a tarmac street yet. You know, where are, when you need them, you know, where are the guys? So we eventually got down there. Like, at the beginning, when I thought I was in hell, I started thinking I was in heaven from being in Devon. And as I got down to the bottom of Clovelly, just as I was parched, I went to the Red Lion Hotel, strongly featured in Devon, Cornwall, had a cold pint of cider, psyching myself up to go back up the hill. Some woman was just like, you know, to do Land Rover up and down. And I was like, what? So we got in the back of a Land Rover and got driven to the top again. So thank God I didn't have to lift it up, because I might have had a heart attack and got back. But it was beautiful and great. It's a wonderful time. And then by then I was just like enjoying being sweaty. You know, I just was kind of in it. I was like, this is how I'm going to be in this holiday, is just sweaty. I'm not in the Costa del Sol, but I don't care. I'm sweaty. I'm living in a farmhouse. There's horses in the farmhouse. I'm riding horses at night, obviously, because during the day their owners and stuff are about. So I was going to say bareback riding a horse, but that's what it would be without a saddle, isn't it, Ben? Bareback. Whereas all perverts that listen to this will think I've been fucking a horse without a condom. Hey, potato. But one of the greatest surprises of the holiday was remembering that Buckfast Abbey, the home of the monks who make Buckfast, is in Devon. And we went there. Now, I've been to Buckfast Abbey before, but the first time I went was actually 10 years ago. So this is like, I go every decade to Buckfast Abbey to pay my respects. 10 years ago, I was visiting a friend in Southampton, and we thought, hey, we can't get Buckfast anywhere. At that stage, I was really into my Buckfast, so we're like, we'll drive to Buckfast Abbey and buy bottles of Buckfast off the monks personally. So we did that. When we went there then, we sort of thought it was going to be like, you know, the Coca-Cola factory. You just go there, there'll be a load of Buckfast, it'll be grand. Turns out just a full religious place. You know, people are there to pay respects to God. The shop is full of like religious books, texts, artifacts, you know, like we praying things, you know, like we statues, we crosses, we Marys and all. And we were very much out of sorts there. We shouldn't have been there, but we got what we wanted and we left. So this time I thought, you know what, I know what to expect. It's a place of worship, we'll go, whatever. Of course, a bottle of Buckfast, but don't worry about that. But it's just a nice moment to return 10 years later with my family, my children and my wife, to say, this is why I have made so many ill thought decisions in my life. These monks, these guys. And Catherine was like, I don't really want to go to Buckfast Abbey, but when she went, she was like, this is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And it was very serene. It was a very beautiful place, which is ironic because it's the home of the iconic tonic. But, you know, very serene, very peaceful. And I actually got myself something this time when I was there. Got an actual Buckfast Abbey monk keyring. So there you have it, a wee keyring of a monk from the Abbey. So it was a good time. But whenever we were there with the family, my mate Griff went there too, and he is a bit of a Hallion on the Buckfast as well. So once I went around with the family, had a nice walk around the gardens. It's actually been a wee bit developed since the last time I was there, with a new gift shop, etc. But we went round, and for some reason we thought, you know what, we'll get photos outside the Abbey. But I mean, you can't really, you know, get a photo outside Buckfast Abbey without holding a bottle of Buckfast. Now, I know people are there to worship. We were there to be bollockses, you know, so I think we want to just get a photo out the front holding this bottle of Buckfast. And I've never felt more dirty in my life. Like, I thought if anyone sees me, they're going to go, disgusting. But I did it. I whipped it out. I got a photo of the bottle, and I felt very dirty. I felt like it was inappropriate to get the photo. It was kind of like, you know, if you're at, like, say, your granny's funeral, and, you know, you just pop a bollocks out. You know, you just pop one ball out of your suit, and then you walk up the aisle to the pulpit to do a reading about how much you love your granny with one of your waxy balls out. Now, people are going, why is your balls waxy? Because, hey, use Manscaped, and it's not hairy, it's smooth and waxy. But yeah, it definitely felt bad, and I thought in that moment, I'm no longer a young guy, I'm an old man who is no fun anymore and is scared of consequences, which you learn about a lot. But that was fine. That was the highlights of Devon. Lots of things to do, lots of seafood, lots of cider. Then we headed to Longleat, the Centre Parks, which, by the way, I thought Centre Parks before. I'd never been before. I kind of in my head thought Centre Parks would be a bit like Butlins, but then thankfully got in the car park, saw a lot of SUVs, a lot of posh cars, a lot of a lot of Tucsons like I drive, a lot of Mercs, BMs, a few Jaguars. I thought, okay, that's fine. We're not in painting anymore. I can buy into this, and it was a nice spot. The only awkward thing is you have to leave you're allowed to bring your car in for a day to bring your stuff into the wee flat house you're staying in, and then you have to leave your car out of the complex because you just people riding bikes and walking and prams and all. It was very nice. Spent a lot of time there. The kids loved it. They went swimming. That's basically all there was to do for kids, swimming. Obviously, if their kids are a bit older than mine, they can do stuff like jumping up and down, attached to ropes, and going to other outside lakes, more swimming, being on. I said B days. I meant pedalos. You could probably get a B day if you really wanted. But yeah, it was just a really nice place. I enjoyed Centre Parks a lot, and then we went to Longleat Safari Park, which is I guess me, a National Trust guy. It was like National Trust with fucking lions and tigers, and I mean that is something I'd like to see. I think they should actually bring lions and tigers and just fucking let them loose in Mount Stewart. Not tell anyone. Make it a surprise. Start a new ecosystem. Bring bears. Let them loose in Longleat. Speaking of bears and Longleat, by the way, I bought this bear in Longleat, a little mascot for the podcast. Again, because a lot of people refer to me as Papa Bear. I thought, hey, we'll get a bear. And Ben very intelligently suggested that we should do a little competition here in the podcast as to what we name the mascot bear. So we'll do something. We'll make a video. Ben, can you make this a clip? We'll make this a clip. See on the clip of this video, write in the comments what you would name the Sly Guy podcast bear, and the best suggestion will be the name of the bear going forward. Ben, do you have any suggestions?
None that spring to mind, but
I thought you said numbnuts spring to mind. Numbnuts spring. Call him numbnuts. Numbnuts the bear. I think I would just call him. I was gonna go. I nearly full Paul Gascoigne there. I think I'll just call him Little Bear. Like you saw in there, Little Bear, Basti. But yeah, I have no idea what to call him. So whoever gives the best name, we will name this guy. For now, he's known as Little Bear. After the best suggestion. But yeah, it was a really good time. I feel refreshed. As I said, drank a lot of cider, did a lot of barbecues. What's better? I mean, and that was definitely the highlight of the holiday was when the kids went to bed and it was just the adults left, and we did what guys my age would do: played the chase, played Cluedo, played cards, and drank and ate meat. Good time, Ben. Very relaxing. Good time. But I had said I was going to do some bonus Patreon episodes when I was away. I was very quickly told, just stop thinking about stuff, about work, and just be in the moment with your family. So I spent 2 weeks with my family and I enjoyed it, and I'm sorry there wasn't bonus Patreon podcasts as there normally is, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So I had a great holiday. I'm back. I'm refreshed. Hopefully this has been fun. I've enjoyed it. I mean, if you're still listening to this in your ears, why aren't you on YouTube yet to look at this tan? Because seriously, I would suck my arm off of it if it had a dick. It's so beautiful. But that's where we're at. What else do we have to talk about? I forget how to do this. I was going to talk about vaccine passports, but then I think I've just spoken long enough. So basically what my point is, hey, who cares? If you're allowed to get in somewhere, just fucking do whatever you need to do. I saw something on Twitter today that was like, all these people complaining about how dare we give vaccine passports, and then they were like, the person was like, so if you're so against that, would you not just give up your actual passport? And it was like, mind blown. Fair point. Just basically don't be an idiot. Get the vaccine. Have you had the vaccine, Ben?
I got my second one on Sunday.
Nice, good man. You'll be vaccinated up. I'm double jabbed, and I've also had the vaccine. But yeah, I'm feeling good, and I think this is where I'm worried though, because obviously the hospitals apparently are getting overwhelmed again with COVID. All the people that just haven't had the vaccine are getting it. Hey guys, come on, just do it. What's it? I mean, you're already ploughed with other things, aren't you? I was thinking about this too. I went to South Africa when I was 16, and I had more needles in me than. I mean, it's got once again going to make a bumming joke, but I'm not going to. I just took everything. I got malaria. I got whatever else, all injected in me. Didn't give it a second thought. Nowadays, people are like, "What are they giving us?" Hey, if super intelligent doctors are doing it, hey, I'm a single word science guy. Give it, jab me. See if they said to me to stop you from getting COVID, you had to eat a piece of shit with the vaccine. I would probably do it. You know, that's how I feel about it. But let's just get back to normal and try and be healthy again. But by the way, as well, in England, I was there for the so-called Freedom Day, where people are like, you don't. Basically, all of a sudden in England, they went, oh no, police are coming to arrest me for being a freedom of speech guy. And basically, in England, they just decided all of a sudden, yeah, masks don't have to be worn in places. COVID's gone. But guess what? I just decided to wear a mask because I think I've been less sick, generally speaking, from wearing a mask. And while COVID's still kicking about, hey, I don't want to get it and I don't want to give it to people, so I'll just wear a mask. And see if you want to be one of these wankers that gives off by people wearing a mask, you get over it. You know, it's people's choice. I'm like those sweet Asian tourists that have been wearing masks for years now. That's just gonna be part of my life. Next, maybe I was gonna say I'll maybe get one of those like little umbrellas to stop me from tanning. I will never stop tanning, even if they're like, Dave, you're making yourself seriously ill. You're dehydrating yourselves, and all your moles are getting very crusty. I'll be like, I'll never stop tanning. If there's sun, I will be in it. I love sun. Right. Anyway, speaking of, how long have we been talking shit for? Over half an hour.
40 minutes, yeah.
Oh, bollocks. Patreon. We're balls deep in the Champions League of Weird at the minute. We're on like, how many episodes? I don't know, 2 or 3. But it's heating up. We're finding our flow. The first couple of episodes were a little bit exploratory, would you say, Ben? We're just finding our feet. Now we're in a rhythm. It's coming. It's pumping. It's great. We're getting in the middle of that. So if you want to see what else we're doing on Patreon, get over to Sly Guy Podcast on Patreon. For £2 a month, you just get a bonus podcast every week, plus the Champions League of Weird, a lot of other stuff. If you want to pay a £5, you get everything that we do over there, bonus clips, videos, things like that. As I'm starting putting more stuff out with the production company, I'm going to be putting more things on Patreon. Ben and I are already working on more things. We're kind of like Eminem and Dr. Dre here. We're just in the studio coming up with ideas as to what to put in Patreon. So again, patrons, anyone else that's not a patron, don't care about your opinion, but patrons, let me know if there's anything you'd like to see over there. We will do that. We will get at it. Ulster Hall, I'm still hoping will go ahead. I'm a little bit squeaky bummed that it could be delayed at some point because the hospitals are being fucking overrun again by idiots who just are fucking too young. You know what? See, if you're too young and too stupid, you know, you should be taken out. That's my opinion. But with all being well, Ulster Hall's still selling well. Hopefully we'll get those tickets sold. If you're holding out for some reason and you haven't bought a ticket because you're like, oh, I don't know if it'll take place, it'll happen eventually. So if you buy a ticket, it'll end. If it's rescheduled, I've not heard that it is, but with any luck, will be grand. So I always want to say, you should come and see me because it'll be a good show. It'll be a good time. I'm working on the material. I'm loving it. I am feeling good. So get your Ulster Hall tickets. Everything's on my social media, Dave Elliott Comedy, or the Dave Elliott on Twitter, because Dave Elliott Comedy's too long. That's the only context that you can ever refer to me as too long, apart from talking for too long in this podcast. I can see if Ben wants to get home and he's raging. Podcast brought to you by Bebe Adrianos. As usual, delighted to be representing my favourite burrito bar, the Kings of the North Coast. Of the Gold Coast, not the North Coast, because it's a different place. But they're a multi-award winning burrito bar in High Street in Bangor. They have everything you want. You can get salads, burritos, burrito bowls, meatballs, probably enchiladas if you really ask, because they're basically just burritos with cheese melted on top. I'm sure they could do that for you. As well, but Bebe Adrianos have a delicious range of box meals. You can see one of the boxes there. It's empty. There's not actual food in there. Otherwise, you'd be like, why has he just got a little full box of food sitting behind him for weeks on end now? But the trademark box is called the Dirty Box, which is half chips, half rice, chicken, chili con carne, pulled pork, peppers, onions, tomato salsa, sweet corn salsa, cheese, and a sauce of your choice. And of course, my personal favourite, the Dirty Cock and Cow Box, marinated steak, Mexican chicken, fries, sweet potato fries, peppers and onions, corn salsa, lettuce, and a sauce of your choice. My personal favourite, by the way, is smoked paprika. So, if you're looking 10% off your first order, download the Bebe Adrianos app or call OT at 91479988. That's OT at 91479988 and say Davey sent you and you listen to Sly Guy podcast and I know get a fist bump and maybe free tin of Coke, who cares? They've told me, Dave, stop telling me that they're going to give free tins of Coke, and I say, listen, I'll never stop telling people you give free tins of Coke because it's our little sign. It's like, you know, who did this? Like, was it like Star Trek thing or some nerd stuff? Yeah, that's like our nanu or whatever the nerds do. We just say, listen, free tin of Coke, and don't go in and go free tin of Coke. Otherwise, people might think, oh, I want to buy Coke, and then you get phoned by the police and you'll be arrested. So don't do that. The podcast is also brought to you in association with Manscaped. The Olympics, the Euros, all major championships and concerts are kicking off this summer, and it's hot and it's happening and it's groovy. But you know it's not hot and happening and groovy? A big man or woman bush. Tame your pubes with the help of our friends at Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. The third-generation performance package includes the flagship Lawnmower 3.0. What I want to say, though, is don't buy the Lawnmower 3.0 just yet. Wait till next week's episode. Major news coming in relation to the Lawnmower 3.0. Now, the Lawnmower 3.0 will still be kicking about, I would imagine, for a discounted rate. And I don't want to say why just yet. Big Manscaped news coming up next week. But what I'm saying is this: I'm down with Manscaped, and I think down with pubes. Get them shaved off. Use Manscaped. Get yourself tidied up. Well, you know what was really key for me on my holidays? I used the ball wipes because I was sweating down in my balls. I just constantly, it was like a drip and tap. Ben, was there a hosepipe ban again here, or was it just suggested to not?
Very close to one.
Very close to a hosepipe ban. Basically, if they wanted like a dam to be filled, they should have just followed me around and just collected the sweat off my ball bag, the amount of sweat I was doing on my holidays. Thankfully, nobody did that because I was using the ball wipes and it felt so fresh and so clean. The Olympics are still going on. They want me to talk about the Olympics. All of the athletes at the Olympics use Manscaped to shave their pubes. So if you want to win a gold medal in below the belt grooming, get on Manscaped. No bronze, no silver, just gold standard pube removal at Manscaped. And if you want a little bit of help with your Manscaped purchase, and by a little bit of help I mean 20% off and free shipping, I don't mean I'm going to come around and shave your pubes unless you're really sexy and my wife signs it off. You know, that's not happening. But if you want 20% off and free shipping, please use the code SLYGUY at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code SLYGUY at manscaped.com. That's SLYGUY at manscaped.com. SLYGUY at manscaped.com. Achieve pubic glory with your Olympic pubeless gold medal. The podcast is also brought to you in association with Modest Beer. Thank you. If you want to know more about Modest Beer, go to their website, modestbeer.co.uk, or look at them on social media at Modest Beer. And also, speaking of plugs, if you want to rate and review the show, we have 197 reviews on the podcast. If we can get up to 200 5-star reviews, Ben, what am I going to do?
Suck your own dick.
Shout it louder for those in the back.
Suck your own dick.
Absolutely. Live on Patreon. So if I can get that, if you want to be the one to hit me up with that 200, you'll get Ben is going to, you're going to make a, what are those things called? They're like wee tokens, non-fungible tokens or something, NFTs. Yeah, we're going to make an NFT of me sucking my own dick when we get to 200. And you can buy that for a very reasonable price. Ben, how much money do you reckon that would get? Me sucking my own dick, how much would it sell for?
50 quid.
I mean, I think the Sunday World would pay more than 50 quid for that, Ben. I think you've absolutely mugged me off there. But, I mean, I think I was going to say maybe 200. But it's yours if you want it. If that's what you guys want. NFT of me sucking my own dick to celebrate 200. But yeah, I've got a few new reviews this week, which is great. Prune44 has said, hilarious. and hard-hitting. Yes. I mean, that's short and sweet, but I mean, the prune has said what the prune wants, and I look like I'm a prune. I'm so bronzed, let me just say that again. But yeah, the prune says hilarious and hard-hitting. Yes, that's a great review. We also got a review from LK 1,122,221. Clearly some sort of distant cousin of Andre 3000. But they have said, great show from the King. And once again, call me the King. I'm here for that. The King of North Down keeps on delivering quality podcasts week after week. From sea swimmers to his dog's bowel habits, we're never far away from a classic Dave rant. Stay sly. By the way, I want to come out and say something on the podcast, Ben. I went sea swimming on my holidays. But you know what? Did I post about it on social media? No. Did I feel invigorated and refreshed? Did all of a sudden, from me stepping into the water and coming out, have I gone from just being Dave into being a life and health guru expert just from being in the water? Have I gone into the water and come out starting to plug my own CBD line? No. I just went in the water and thought to myself, hey, this is nice to be in the water on a hot day, and that was fine. And if people do that, I've no problem with it. But see the sea swimmers setting up their wee cameras, running in for a dip. I'm going for a dip. We're the dippers. Now you're dickheads. That's who yous are. Fuck dippers, dickheads. All these dickheads. If you're going in the water to sea swim, swim. Don't just go up to your knee and run out and go, oh my god, I'm still re-energized and recharged. It's not it's not like a Beowulf, you know, where like Angelina Jolie walks in and comes out as like goes in as a monster and comes out as a real sexy golden bitch. It's just water. Go in, swim, get on with it. You can just swim for the sake of it. You're not going to be inspiring people because you get into water at 3 a.m. Stop posting the times. Oh, nothing refreshes me for the day than a dip at 3:30 a.m. Yeah, because by 7 o'clock you'll be fucked and want to go back to your bed, you loser. Go and stop wearing those big coats. See those coats. They're like the dry coats they all wear. What do they call dry robe? Yeah, I hope there's some sort of manufacturer malfunction in dry robes and hope they all set on fire. And then you really need to get into the water. Just get in and swim. Stop dipping and stop doing it for social media. Do it for the fact you enjoy it. And don't tell me about it. Just do it. See the people. Like, I saw someone in Ballyhone Beach and they had somebody filming them, right? This was a guy, and it makes me embarrassed to say because a man of this age should not be doing this. A guy was standing at Ballyhone Beach in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts, Ben. His missus, it looked like, was in a dry robe and had a phone and was filming him, and he was like, go. And he took his t-shirt off and he went, waddled into the water up to his knees, like, and then turned around, splashed a tiny bit of water, like the like a dribble on his cock. To be fair, probably the most liquid that's been on that thing, but he did that and he came out again, put his t-shirt back on and went. So he's just gone there to get a bit of footage for social media because he thinks that's cool. You know what? People that do that and then post about it like there's some sort of inspiration, the only thing they're inspiring me to do is want to kill myself, so stop it. Alright? Why did you bring up sea swimming? But rate and review the podcast and I'll ask my own day and you get an NFT. Naomi has said, this is listeners' questions now, by the way. Naomi said, tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be racist. Naomi, don't be. Let me see what it is. She sent me a video to YouTube, which, by the way, stories are all good. Can't really do YouTube here because, Ben, what's the problem with watching YouTube? Does you get bored or it doesn't let you? I mean, I don't know. Let me see. It looks like it is a woman on some sort of Stars in Your Eyes in Eastern Europe. Ben, can you get a photo of this woman? Oh no, she's come out and she's doing the whole like you know why Stevie Wonder kind of, you know why Stevie Wonder's kind of like and does this a lot. She's oh my god. Unless this woman's blind, this is the greatest mug off in the history. She's being carried on, like her arm held and brought out. This looks like a white woman. It's been black faced up. I mean, and she's at keyboards. Ben, could you play that without sound? Up on the screen behind me. Just get this woman on. Look at her smile. I mean, am I allowed any sound here at all for a second? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. She's really doing this. Oh no. If Stevie Wonder could see, he'd be offended. No, she must sound like him. To look like that and get on like that, she has to sound like Stevie Wonder. You know what she doesn't sound like, Ben? Stevie Wonder. No, she's definitely blacked herself up. Now, it's interesting to say this, and people may find like you may want to cancel me for this, but I don't really care. I'm going to say she probably looks more like Stevie Wonder than if she wasn't wearing the makeup, because that's weird. See, if you're doing an impression of somebody, is obviously it is offensive. Yes, I get that, but would it not be more offensive if you turned up, like say you turned up with just dreadlocks, sunglasses, and a suit, and you were just a white guy? You'd be like, "Who are you supposed to be?" And I'd be like, "I'm Stevie Wonder." You'd be like, "Well, why'd you look like Riff Raff?" Be like, "Well, I'm not allowed to put the paint on, am I?" So I don't know. I think I would I would rather somebody look like somebody, and if it was a real great impression, like have you seen those Michael Jackson guys that are on YouTube that actually sound just like him? Those guys have put like a lot of like I guess white paint on them, but they sound very good. And I just don't know. I think yeah, it's definitely racist and out of order. But if she'd come on and not like her behavior is probably more offensive than the way she colored herself. If she's not blind and she got an assistant to carry her out, like show this bit, to carry her out to the keyboards like that, and she's not blind, that's the most offensive thing about that. And then to proceed to do the head thing. Rude. Anyway, John Joe Flood has said, have you watched Bo Burnham's new Netflix special? And that's a question for both you and Ben. Directed at you for your opinion on the content and to Ben on the intricacies of the self-production of the special. Have you seen it?
No.
Shocker. Ben has not watched the comedy special on Netflix. Stunned. But yeah, Bo Burnham basically made us whole. And again, I don't know. People calling things specials now. Like, to me it should be stand-up first and foremost. That's what a special is. Like, Andrew Schultz did a special where he just did what he was doing on Instagram. And it was like, people loved it. I thought it was fine, but it was too short, and I prefer an hour stand-up. I thought Bo Burnham's special, right, first and foremost, it was very innovative. It was a very well-worked piece, and obviously he's doing very well. But as a comedian, I do think Bo Burnham's very good, and I do think the stuff he has done before has been good. Didn't find that one funny. I thought it was like maybe a wee bit too, oh, I'm very smart, look what I can do. I know all this. I can do all these funny, quirky, just be funny. Ultimately, that was my view on it. And people are probably going, oh, you're probably, yeah. Of course I'm jealous. Bo Burnham's a big, rich bastard, and he gets to live his dreams. But at the same time, I thought maybe people lose sight of what's good sometimes because it's like, oh, it's really flashy and a lot of technology and really hard to do. Didn't find it funny. I found it irritating at parts. Just his wee annoying whiny voice. Anyway, thanks for the question, John Joe. Owen has said, we forgot about Shane's Chinese Louis Spence and Pricey's interactions with the southern bartender way too quickly. Will they ever make a return? No, because Boytown's never coming back, not even for a one-off episode. Because when we did do a one-off episode, it was not a Boytown episode, it was an episode of TV Man. I hated that. So yeah, Boytown is done forever. Matthew Kilpatrick has said, hitting a stag do with the lads this weekend in Belfast, which assumes Belfast. Please don't use words like that with me. Thinking of doing some real slide of the stag, aka CJ Nutter Morris, La Nut Nutter. Any ideas? So the stag must be called CJ Nutter Morris or La Nut or the Nutter. I thought you meant that you were going to do something to his testicles, which, by the way, I thought they were 3 testicle torture techniques, which I was like, don't torture the guy's testicles, because if he's getting married, he might need his testicles to, reproduce. Or if he's, maybe marrying somebody of the same gender, maybe he needs his testicles to produce, the cream for the pie, let's just say. But I think, love the pod, by the way. Yeah, animal, thank you, Matthew. I think what you could do, I mean, I've been involved in a lot of stag do's, and I've been best man a lot of times, and I've always had a good time. I think what you need to maybe do is focus less on the showy elements of like tying them up or fucking. What I'm saying is embarrass the stag a bit in terms of maybe a weird outfit here and there, but bear in mind some of the greatest memories you will make with your male friends are in stag do's. And then once you get married, those sort of things Ben will testify this, are few and far between, aren't they? You don't just get to hang around with your mates as much if you're married with a family, you have other commitments. So enjoy the stag do, make it a holiday to remember, and definitely take out a lot of cash when you go to adult dance establishments, because if you're a bank card, you're fucked. That's all I'm saying. Helen H. Star, good to have you back, has said, "Hey Dave, great weather to go on holiday in the UK." Yes, again, if you're listening via audio, get onto YouTube and subscribe. Tell your friends. In fact, I want to see loads of people sharing the podcast this week, and I want people to be saying, "Oh my God, have you seen how tan Dave Elliott is? Please go to his YouTube and subscribe and look at how tan he is." I want to see people posting pictures of me being all tanned. I want to see it all over social media, and I'll share it all out, just me being tanned. I don't want nicknames for myself as a bronzed goddess. But Helen say, "We have recently welcomed the German Shepherd puppy into our home. 11-week-old Walter." What a sweet name. And he is the cutest boy, by the way. Cheeky looking wee piece of work, but very cute. I was wondering if you had any tips to A, get him to stop thinking the whole house is his private toilet, and B, how to get him to sleep past 5 a.m. It's like having a newborn. Well, for us with Vinny, our puppy's now 5 months old. And by the way, he was the hardest thing that I missed about being on holiday. I missed that guy so much. I've just basically been in his face ever since we got back. And it's been great. But honestly, for us, I would say, first and foremost, he is a dog. And that's something that I think is important. I think too often people treat dogs like they're just little mini people. Did you agree with that, Ben? Like they're just, you don't treat them like a dog. Don't give them too much affection. Don't give them too much freedom. Because if they get too much affection and too much freedom, they become bad dogs. So Vinny, we would like initially, he was crate trained. So whenever we got him from the guy that shaved his asshole for him, he told us, he's crate trained, he'll do his business outside. And to be fair, he did. He's peed in the house maybe once or twice. But he was great. Popped him in the crate. Whenever, make the crate a good experience, put nice stuff in there, it's all good. And then make sure that whenever the dog's out, they get a lot of affection. And also, I don't let Vinny upstairs in our house or on the sofas, because again, he's a dog. He's not a person. And now he's the most obedient dog. I just take him everywhere. And that's another thing I would say. If you want to do stuff with the dog, as in you want to bring the dog places or be, part of the family, bring the dog with you everywhere. I bring my dog to the pub, to the coffee shop, the walks, anywhere, shopping. I tie him up outside. I actually dress him up like he's a person and pretend that he is my wee auntie. I put him in the trolley dressed as a wee auntie. And then that's how you just get him used to things. I mean, Helen, I could probably talk to you for hours at length about dog training now because I love it. But definitely look at doing some dog training with them. Read. In fact, my wife told me to read the dog training books and then bother my arse. And I'm the best trainer out there, and the dog loves me, so fuck you. But yeah, definitely treat it like a dog. And Michael Kerr, last question of the day, has said, "Hey Dave, do you think grown men should be using TikTok?" In a word, no. I think if you're over the age of 17 and you're on TikTok, probably should be being investigated by PSNI. I was on TikTok for a brief period because, was it you, Ben, that suggested it? You thought maybe doesn't know. TikTok's a fake world. Like TikTok, the videos might do well, but they don't translate onto like listens and podcasts. They don't translate to ticket sales. It's just the complete numbing of all attention, and people just on TikTok being like, I'll watch something for 10 seconds. And like realistically, who wants to see people dancing shit? Like, see if you're like Jordan Banjo or something, I'll watch you. See if you're Ashley Banjo, I'll watch you. But see if you're just a guy trying to don't wanna watch it. Don't wanna watch it. It's bullshit. And then as well, if you're an older man, apparently there's a lot more like provocative things going on there for like, young girls shaking their booties and stuff. And I think you don't want to get arrested for being a paedophile. You don't want to be Jimmy Savile #2. So get off TikTok. If you're on TikTok and you're over 17, you're a problematic person. That's my... Ben, are you on TikTok?
No.
No. Are you on TikTok, or you've got very sweaty all of a sudden? Are you on TikTok? No?
I do have a TikTok account, yes.
Oh, wow. Get off it. Get off it. Because before you know it, your kids will be on TikTok and be like, "Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing?" So no, my question is, grown men should not be using TikTok. I think grown men should probably not even be using a lot of social media, but unfortunately, I have to use it to fucking plug things and promote things. See, if I was able to just sell out stuff without having to promote it, I would never be on social media. But I'm just an old grumpy guy. And guys, speaking of old grumpy guys, it's been good to be back. I'm feeling less old and less grumpy now that I'm back doing the podcast. I hope you have missed me as much as I've missed you. And if you haven't, fuck you. But anyway, subscribe to the podcast, rate and review it, get me to ask my own day and buy that NFT. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Subscribe on YouTube, check out my tan, and I will see you next week. Peace.
I'm the sly guy.